Inner Revolution has a more aggressive, full frontal sound than your last two solo albums. Tell me about the philosophy that informed it.
Yeah, I tried to do that. About halfway through making the record, I decided to put some more aggressive songs on the record. The first few were songs like I'd Rather Be Right Here and I Walk Alone and Everything. And then I decided, no, to really balance this out now, you're going to need some other aggressive things. Plus, I have been dealing with this recording style of using less information per song. In other words, having, 3 instruments do the job of 6. And so that accounts for some of the rawness, too. These are more pop songs than ever to me. But I just wanted to keep it simpler, direct. Also, I knew that this would be some music to play live. Kept in my mind a vision of a band playing it.
What inspired the title track?
Inner Revolution really came from conversations I had with my girlfriend, Martha Thompson. She studies communication. It's a theory of hers, a working theory about how things can change dynamically in your life. It could be something that causes you to change, or it could be you causing yourself to change. So the general message that I read into the song was, as it says, if there's something in your life you don't like, you have the power to change it.
Are there any life changes in particular that informed the song?
Well, in the last 2 years, I would say going on tour with David Bowie for 9 months was a big change in my life. On a career level, that was one of the biggest steps I've taken in a long time. Not only because of the length of it, but also the finances of it, just the whole scope of everything. Also, in the last 2 years, I decided to get divorced and start my life over. I really felt that my marriage had reached a complete failure state where I could no longer be myself and actually be the person I need to be to do what I want to do with my life. And this took, a long time to work through and decide, obviously, a big decision like that. Yeah. Following that, I met Martha and fell in love. And that's also, I think, a giant change in your life. So, to me, a lot of this record revolves around the idea of the hope of a new love, of a new start in your life, and a more positive feeling. So, basically, I feel better than I've ever felt in my life, and I kind of wanted to write some songs about that.
On This Is What I Believe In, you create a really intriguing sax sound with your guitar. How did you achieve it?
Yeah, that's a GR50 synthesizer. It's one of those things I come up with now and then. I always likened it to a Stevie Wonder style of harmonica playing. So that's what it's called. The synthesizer patch itself is, in my synthesizer says Stevie Wonder. I like to give them names. I just put together a whole new stereo MIDI guitar rack. Well, I say I put it together. Actually, someone else put it together for me. And that's part of what I do every day now is work with all the sounds and try to get all the right things that the songs need.
I understand I'd Rather Be Right Here is about your fear of flying. Give me some insight into that.
It's the strangest thing. It's totally illogical, and it just came on me a few years ago. And this has happened to a number of people I know, David Byrne and David Bowie, of course. I used to love flying. In fact, I even have flown planes. I took flying lessons for a little while. And I was always thrilled by airports, and, the whole idea thrilled me. And then I don't know what happened. It's just started this real illogical fear. And now if the plane seems, there are times when I get up to move to another seat because I think I'm going to help the plane a little bit. Yeah, it's that bizarre and stupid. There will be some flying for this tour, but mostly it stays on the ground. Not by my design, it's just the nature of this level of touring. Yeah, I'm trying to overcome it. It gives a great deal of humor to my friends to watch me, because whenever we start the takeoff, as soon as the plane starts to take off, my hands break out in an amazing sweat. Sweat just pours off of my hands. I remember the guys in King Crimson used to laugh at it. They'd always say, watch this, watch his hands. Certainly is weird. I wish I could get rid of it.
The song I Walk Alone sounds like it has a strong Roy Orbison influence on it.
That's the one song I wrote while I was on the Bowie tour. And I used to lay in, in my bunk in the bus sometimes when it would get tiring. I try to think up songs. That's one that I thought up. And only later did I work out the chords and what it should be on the piano. And then I realized as I was doing it that it had that kind of emotional timbre of Roy Orbison. And, of course, Roy being an influence on me when I was a kid, I thought it would be nice to do something in that vein. Not many people write those kinds of songs these days. The only thing I left out was the big Roy note that he always hit at the end of the song. So I didn't really want to copy him to that degree. I just wanted it to have the kind of, I don't know, I like the quality of his voice. I wouldn't know how to explain it, but I wanted to try and get some of that on my voice.
Only a Dream has an environmental awareness theme. Explore what you're communicating on it.
Well, Only a Dream began as the drum track. While we were testing mic techniques and sounds for the drums, I went ahead and played the drum track and then really liked it because it had a lot of different drum rolls and things in it I don't usually play. And so I wrote the song over the top of that. And it came very quickly, that song. As soon as I worked out the chords, I knew what the melody would be. And then I had a feeling because of I always let the songs tell me what they want to be about, and it seemed to me that this was a big, dynamic type sounding song, and therefore it could be about something larger than some of the other subject matters. So I went back to my usual, what are we doing to the earth plea. But I like to always include something like that on a record just to remind people who may not know of my convictions that I feel like we're making some big mistakes in the way we are treating our planet. My action is simply that what I can do is write songs about it to try to bring about some awareness.
Inner Revolution is largely a solo album with you playing most of the instruments. What appeals to you about that approach?
I prefer recording alone. I just feel I approach recording more like a painter approaches painting, I think. It's the challenge of working through all the problem solving of how to get to the music that you hear in your head that I find most attractive about creating music in the first place. And it quite simply is, it's more challenging to try and do it all yourself. And like a painter, I feel like, well, I have my own vision of how to do it, and if I can do it, I'm going to try and do as much of it as I can. So also, I think in bands that I've been in the past, really, you just get tired of having to compromise so often. So finally you say, well, I'll just do it myself. I've worked at it a long time, If there's ever something that I can't do, say a string quartet, then I gladly have other people play it.
Now, one of the people you did involve was Chris Arducer on drums. Tell me about his contributions.
Well, Chris came into town to Lake Geneva, and I thought I could use a sparring partner for a couple of days. And so he came in the studio and played my drums, which were already set up in mic, and he came up with some new songs that way.
Tell me about your new band lineup and the repertoire people can expect on the Inner Revolution tour.
Rob Fetters is going to play guitar on this tour. The drummer is the same drummer we had on the Bowie tour, Mike Hodgett, and then with a newcomer, bass player, who's Brian Lovely. It's a real lean, mean, nice rock band. Yeah, it sounds good. We've already learned 18 songs in about a week and a half. We've worked out 10 of the Inner Revolution songs. Yeah, they all sound real good. Well, everything sounds really good. I'm very happy with the way this band is turning out. It's a band that should be capable to do everything that I've ever done in different situations. We're going to do something from King Crimson. We've done a couple of Bears songs now. We're also going to, for the first time, play songs from Young Lions. We're playing Pretty Pink Rose. Rob is doing the David Bowie vocals, and it's working out great. But apart from learning Big Electric Cat and the Mommer and maybe some other songs from the older stuff. We learned the rail song already. That's kind of the package. It's a little bit of everything. And there's also a really nice 6-minute piece of music I put together to play on that has excerpts from, chronologically, from my entire career, from 35 different songs. It's a really nice piece. It's kind of like a musical version of Cruelty to Animals.
Last year you put out a compilation called Desire of the Rhino King that chronicles your island solo era between 1982 and 1986. Tell me about the previously unreleased material on it.
There's a different version of Lone Rhino, and there's a new song that was never on a record before. It was just on the Flexa disc. The rest of them, I think they're the same mix, but probably sound a little better.
Now, I could swear a Big Electric Cat somehow sounds different on this compilation.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I think there's a mistake in the mastering in the front of Big Electric Cat. Cuts off the first note, and it seems to turn the beat around, but it's very observant.
I felt your 1986 instrumental LP, Desire Caught by the Tail, was a career highlight. Would you like to pursue further instrumental recordings in the future?
Yeah, I would like to do that. I don't know if I'll get that freedom from Atlantic or not. I've been letting material like that accumulate, and sometime I'll find something to do with it. I would rather maybe do a movie soundtrack or something, because I think that kind of music needs more of a purpose to exist, because there really is no place in the market for it. Maybe it would be better if it were attached to a movie or something. But I would like to do some more instrumental music. I know Desire Caught by the Tail, and has since, I think, lost me my record deal with Island. No big deal, because I went over to Atlantic and did so much better with them. I'm happier. But still, it was that period was confusing for me.
I understand King Crimson is actively considering reforming. Tell me where that stands.
Well, we've only been talking about it at this point. It looks positive that it could happen. I think until we sit and play music together, I really wouldn't be able to say for sure. But I'm excited about the possibility of it. I met with Robert last summer, and we've talked a few times. It all sounds pretty good, maybe. If it works, I would really like to see that happen. Obviously, it was a great adventurous band I was happy to be a part of. It wasn't always fun, but that wasn't the object of it. It was to make some great music, and I think we did accomplish that at times. If we could have it be the band of the 90s, then that would be terrific, wouldn't it? Robert and I always got along real well. We've both changed, grown up some, matured some. You have to approach Robert with kid gloves a little bit, because he's an unusually opinionated person. So you have to learn how to like that. He can be a hard guy to get along with, but as I say, I've always had. He's always treated me very well. I feel we really have a good friendship and a good musical understanding. Now, I just am concerned whether it's the right thing for me to do. I'm really enjoying being a solo artist, quite honestly. That gives me a lot of autonomy, and I'm a little scared of giving some of that away. I'd like to continue to make records on my own as long as they'll let me. I really enjoy that a lot.
Robert Fripp has said if the group does reform, it's going to have Jerry Marotta on drums instead of Bill Bruford. Why is that the case?
Yeah, I don't think Robert wants to have Bill Bruford. I love Bill. He's a remarkable drummer. I learned a lot working with him. Robert just doesn't like the way he plays, I think. They didn't really ever get along. Strange relationship that they have. So there was a lot of conflict built into that situation.
Do you think some of that tension created the conditions that yielded some of the band's best work?
I'm not sure if the music is a product of that or not. I'm not sure if you could still make the same music. I'd like to believe you could without all that tension, because I think the music really came from it's just the potential of all the four musicians put together. Whether there were pressures beneath it or not, I think we would have still made it the same music.
What would be the biggest challenge for a reformed King Crimson in the 90s?
Well, probably to overcome the stigma of being nostalgic or, reuniting or anything like that. So that's why I'm saying the only reason to do it would be to have some real new vital music in a newer way. It's what we're working out. But of course, I'd also really want to see what the music would be. If it were vital, new, unique music, then that would really interest me.
Now, speaking of King Crimson, you re-recorded the lead vocal for Cadence and Cascade from In the Wake of Poseidon for the frame-by-frame box set. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, I was going to visit Robert over the summer for a couple of days, and he suggested, well, since you're here, why don't you do something on this new compilation? And so it was entirely his idea, but I enjoyed singing it. I always liked that track, even though I had no involvement in the original version.
You produced Caifanes' latest album, El Silencio. What was that experience like for you?
The production was done in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, where I live. Well, I first met with them in Mexico City for a week. And it took us 5 weeks to make the record, and I would say overall it was completely a success. They're a progressive rock band. They have their influences not only from their own cultural music, Mexican music, but also from groups like King Crimson and people I've worked with. Yeah, so it was a very interesting blend of their very particular own brand of music. I've never really heard anything quite like it. It sounds somewhat like maybe a Mexican U2. They're all really wonderful people, and I think we had a great time doing the record, and it's an excellent record. I really like it. They sent me their last CD and a video press kit, lots of information about the band, and I just really liked the band. And there was a time, a space and time when I had just finished the new album, Inner Evolution, where they're producing the artwork and printing the CDs, and so for about 2 months, you don't have anything to do. Perfect timing, so that's how it all came about.
You were originally pegged to produce the next Timbuk 3 album. What happened to that?
Yeah, it didn't work out, but I liked their music. It was a good combination. We met, and it seemed like it was all going to work until IRS decided they wanted to do something else.
You recently did some very entertaining television commercials in Japan for Daikin Industries, which specializes in air conditioning and HVAC equipment. What made you want to pursue that opportunity?
The commercials don't tout a product as such. They're very different. They do a profile of me. In other words, the commercial is about me. And then at the end it says, I'm always unique, like Daikin is. I think it's fine. I don't have any problem with it from an artistic view. No. It's not an artistic thing. It's a commercial thing. It's a thing you do for money. And I enjoyed it a lot, actually. And the money was good. And they have a different view in Japan, for one thing. In the United States, it's frowned on for an artist to do commercials. It's not artistic enough. But in Japan, people do commercials there who wouldn't do commercials here because they have a different outlook on it. I don't know. The commercials are very short, and often they're some of the best things on television. People like Robert De Niro and David Bowie and so on have done commercials there who wouldn't do them here in the States. And I was told that it's one of the only ways for a non-Japanese person to achieve stardom in Japan, because they don't play the music on the radio. You can't go through the normal channels, so the best way to be popular is to do these television commercials. A lot of people do them for that reason. I did it because it was an attractive idea and because the money was good, and I really enjoyed it. It was like a video shoot, like making a rock video. And I liked the end results. I wish they'd show it here. It's a great little sort of profile of me.
You've been joking a lot recently about the fact that you're a rock star in his early 40s with a receding hairline. How have you been coping with this very, very serious dilemma?
Well, my father had a receding hairline, and I always thought he looked really handsome in it. So I just always knew that mine was going to get to that point anyway. I don't know. I think it kind of gives me my own look, my own character. So I kind of accept mine. I like it. Martha likes it. That's all that matters to me.